I love that. That's so
Yeah.
cool. You just started writing as a kid. Do
Yeah,
you have any of these like books or pages from childhood around?
I do. I do. I have a so I still remember the first book I ever tried to write. I was 9 years old. It was a self-help novel, Rudy. Nine
Yes.
and I still remember the first line. It was like, "I'll tell you how old I am at the end of this, but we're to be happy."
You were like the last airbender as a 9-year-old. You're like speaking in riddles. So what was the point of the book? How do you be happy as a 9-year-old? What was 9-year-old Chad preaching?
I have no clue. I have no clue. I cannot remember. It's never been published.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tyburczy.
What's up, everybody? It's Rudy here, and I'm just saying hi before we drop into the episode with Chadhurst Sharpe, good friend of mine from the Eugene comedy scene. Author, comedian, very funny guy. And yeah, I just wanted to give a couple updates on jokes and the gym, because that's what this podcast is about. For jokes, it's been good lately. I had a couple shows at the Olsen Run Comedy Club, Eugene's new comedy club this weekend. I featured for Jenny Zagrino on Friday, 2 sold-out shows. And then I was on Leave Your Troubles. I think that's the whole title. Or maybe it's called Leave Your Troubles Behind or At the Door. It's a very funny improvised stand-up comedy show where the audience writes their troubles on sheets of paper, and then we as comedians come up with completely silly, ridiculous, improvised answers. And it was just a blast. Total blast. The audience was ready to go. Good golly.
My dog is always in the middle. Is your dog's name Malcolm? What's that? My dog is all...
It was funny. There was a guy who walked in, I saw him. He had a fuck Biden shirt on. Can't really miss it. He was in the front row of the show, and he was having a good time. He was talkative, but not too much. Turns out it's a guy I grew up with. He came up to me after the show and was like, "Oh my God, we grew up down the street together." And I totally was. And it was nice to say hi. And then another person from middle school I saw there. So that's just kind of part of doing comedy in your hometown, you know? It's kind of funny. You never know if you're going to run into your old dentist or PE teacher or, little girl you had a crush on when you were a little boy. Yeah, I said to that guy, he was like, "Oh my gosh, that's Rudy." And then I was like, "Yeah, you were like, the last time you saw me, I was a little boy, and now I'm a funny man." It's just kind of funny how that happens, right? Like one time you're a little kid growing up down the street, and then you're a 40-year-old telling jokes to drunks at a comedy club. So it was fun. Great weekend. So much fun. Felt super good. And that was on the heels of getting a pretty solid tentative yes on a job. I went to a follow-up application interview on Friday afternoon, had a good feeling, got there, the interview went well, and now they're going through just the background checks and the reference checks, and I don't know why, but that red tape stuff still just gets me a little anxious. And so, not that I have anything to worry about. There's no skeletons back there. It'll be fine, but it's still just like, while I'm waiting, I'm just excited to get it going. And once it's for surezies, then I'll share a few more details, but I'll be seeing the public a lot more and helping them get healthy, and I'm stoked. I'm super stoked. So, yeah. And then, was there anything else? Was there something else? Oh yeah, I just wanted to also take a moment to thank my fake sponsor again this week. As you know, every week we have a sponsor for this show that doesn't exist, and we just give them a shout out. So this week I want to thank Hyrax Academics. If your kid's dumb and you want him to be less dumb, take him to Hyrax. You'll be smarter than a mole, but only just. Hyrax Academics. Anyways, there's a fake sponsor. You don't exist. Congrats. Now you kind of do. Anyways, You know what does exist is my conversation with my friend, Chad Sharpe. He's a very funny comedian here in town. He's an author. And I'm excited to, share our conversation with you. I found myself smiling a bunch when I re-watched and listened to the podcast. So I hope you smile a bunch as well. Please enjoy my conversation with Chad Sharpe. Right on. Well, cool. I'm super excited to have my good friend here today. He's a valued member of the comedy scene in Eugene. He is an award-winning author. In addition to being a comedian. Look at that guy. What a guy. I'm stoked he's here. Everyone put your hands together for Chadhurst Sharpe. Yay! Woo! There he is. Sorry, I usually have a live studio audience here. They just couldn't make it today.
Bring him to open mic too, if we're going to do all that.
Yeah, we would double the audience if we had 2 more people there.
That's fair. That's fair.
So we see each other usually.
What does your hat say?
Oh
yeah,
you're
frozen.
Oh no, I'm frozen already. That's the Eugene connectivity.
Up there we go.
Yeah, Eugene. Honestly, like we're in the same town, but some of the least reliable connections have been from Eugene to Eugene on this thing.
I'm Ethernetted in. I got Comcast. I have real internet.
Yeah, we should be. We're living in the future.
Yeah.
My hat, though, you asked about my hat.
I did, yeah.
It's a Korean hat. It says Wegukin, which means foreigner. Yeah, it's one of those words and like phrases you hear all the time when you live in Korea as a foreigner. You just hear like 5 Korean words when you get there, and then like everyone sees you and they're like, Wegukin, Wegukin, Wegukin. I was like, yeah, that's me. It's just taking the word back, essentially.
Nice.
Yeah, how about you? You must have done some traveling. Are you a traveling man? What's your passport look like?
Been a few places. The only time I left the country was in the military, though, so I didn't need a passport for that. They just kind of go, there you go.
Do you have like a special line? I guess you're on your own planes, I guess.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. And it is a special line, yeah. But I went to outside of the country. Afghanistan, that was the main deployment. We stopped in Turkey. That was cool. We went to Kyrgyzstan for a while. And culturally, you had to imagine I'm 19 at this point. That culturally blew my mind because Kyrgyzstan had Asian women with blonde hair that spoke Russian. And I was like, what?
It's crazy.
It's crazy. Yeah. Yeah.
You go to some of these countries around Asia, a stan that you've never heard of necessarily, and it's like, I wouldn't have guessed any of this.
Right? If you had told me, who do you think lives here? I'd have been like, I don't know, not this though, right? Like, yeah.
Yeah, the Russian people that I've met while abroad are extremely varied in a lot of ways, just depending on where they come from, for sure. So you were in the military for how long?
4 years.
4 years, okay. Yeah. And those were like formative years, kind of. How did that shape you?
I had a chip on my shoulder, as most of us do when we're young. You know what I mean? And yeah, it helped balance me out a bit, I guess. I mean, I started the program when I was like 15. I signed the contract when I was 16, so it wasn't a last minute thing or anything like that.
Oh, you were getting ready to go. Where did you grow up?
Philly.
Philadelphia. Yeah. Okay. So was the military like a way to just see the world, to get out of your home, or what?
Kinda. I could have gone to college. I had a small scholarship for like a tuition, but just something to get me started. But I've never liked school, so that wasn't really an option for me. It was more. I just kind of want to challenge myself. You know what I mean? And
yeah. Was it a challenge?
Yeah, it was definitely a challenge in multiple ways.
Yeah, I bet. And so you deployed at 18 or 19, is that what you said?
Yeah, 18, 19, one of the two. I was there for 9 months, so it would have been either 18 or 19, you know what I mean?
Yeah. So you said 4 years, so that was like your college experience.
4 years in the military, 9-month deployment, which is shorter than some people.
Yeah, that's not a ton necessarily. I mean, it's a lot when I think about it now. Yeah, you get out of the military. And what's life like? What are you doing? Where did you go? What's next on the list?
That was the whole, So I went to Georgia for a few weeks because one of my, closest friends in the whole world, I also served with him. We got out within a couple days of each other, out of the military, within a couple days of each other. So I hung out in Georgia waiting for my last paycheck for a couple weeks and then just drove out here.
Okay.
Here being Oregon.
What made you choose Oregon? What was it like? You're like Kyrgyzstan and now Oregon.
It was kind of a whim. I mean, I knew I wasn't going to move back East Coast, right? Because if I failed or had a hard time, I would just go back home, right? The Midwest, not overly appealing. No offense to anyone in the Midwest, but for my personality type, all that. And then California was just, So it was like here or Colorado, and it was around the time Portlandia came out. So I was like, I'll move to Portland, Oregon.
There you go.
Yeah,
and you just landed there.
I've never actually lived in Portland, for the record. I've never.
I don't know what it's like to live there. I've been there a few times. It seems nice enough.
Yeah.
But when I met you, you were in Salem. So you were you came up as a Salem guy. Did you end up there for a while?
Yeah, I was in Salem for 5 or 6 years, maybe a little longer. No, about 5 or 6 years. Yeah. So I've been in Oregon now for 10. So yeah.
Okay. So as someone who's not from Oregon, you're not from Oregon, and you've been here for 10 years. As a person of color who's not from Oregon, and now you've been here for 10 years, how has it struck you? Like, what are your thoughts on Oregon when you come here?
I like Oregon. I like the Pacific Northwest. I mean, the weather does a lot for me. I enjoy the rain, the views, all that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Also, there's I like the attitude people have here. In the East Coast, everyone's very, very rude, very angry. You got to move a certain way and all that. You're free to be out here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Free to be. I guess Oregon is like that. I'm hearing my voice in your earphones. And so Oregon, I don't know if I feel like it's as free as everywhere because I'm from here. And so maybe that just kind of like clouds my judgment about like what Oregon is and how much freedom there actually is.
Well, yeah, I get that. I mean, it's not like Oregon's perfect. There's definitely some towns I wouldn't want to go to as a person of color, or as anyone who isn't just a straight white guy. But, Eugene's cool. Salem's not bad. Portland's got its own thing going on, but you won't really be too impacted, I don't think, by the aforementioned traits. So, yeah. But also, if you are from a place, anytime you go to a place, if you meet someone from that place, they're like, why'd you come? You can go to Hawaii on the most beautiful day in summer. And someone would be like, why here? Why,
this place is awful. It's it's kind of like that for everybody. I guess that's true. So I guess I just want to complain about things, and I'm equally excited and slightly flabbergasted when people are in Oregon all the time on purpose. I'm from here, and that sounds like I'm shitting on it a ton, but I don't mean to. It's just like, I'm glad I'm from here. Way worse places, but I'm just totally interested in why people chose it and what.
You heard here first, folks. Rudy Tyburczy hates Oregon.
Hates Oregon. That's the message. That's the full message. No, I think we just all ask questions of like, okay, place. Where do I belong? Where's a good fit? And when you make the choice to live somewhere, I think it's a lot more. You develop a greater connection immediately, I would say.
Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I would never move back home. So.
Yeah, why not? I guess I asked.
Nothing really there for me,
Just doesn't appeal. So when you came to Oregon, you're like, this is the place to start my stand-up comedy career. I'm gonna launch it out of Salem, baby. What was the appeal? How did you get started? What was your early years in comedy like?
Honestly, I never thought I'd be a comic, man. It was just on my bucket list,
Yeah.
And one Thursday, I went up to Cap City, our Infinity Room now used to be known as Cap City. I signed up for open mic, and I crushed. So I was like, this is my thing now, and and here we are.
Here we are, just crushing ever since.
Yeah, but no, I did crush my first time. I got really lucky. One of the sets that I still use now is basically the same set I used then, right? So my first 5 minute bit came to me very quickly. So I got to ride that, but it took me so long to get to 10 and 15, because when you're new and you don't have a lot of material, you keep going back to that one funny joke you have, and it was a particularly funny joke. So if a crowd didn't laugh as hard as at other jokes as that one, I would immediately go into that one, and
Yeah.
it just, you know what I mean?
It was
So
your
my early
security
years were a lot of
joke.
that. Yeah, exactly. My security joke.
Well, I guess we all have those. It's like you have those things you're like, oh no, well, this is a rough 5 or a rough 10 or whatever. So it's like, I better dig into the good stuff as opposed to like trying out my avant-garde shit tonight.
Fair, yeah. But I mean, this, like, you know how it is. Sometimes a joke, you have to tell it a few times before you actually find the rhythm, or I wasn't giving them room to breathe, you know.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's pretty common. I think so often when you're starting out, it's just like, I got to remember the joke as opposed to like be the joke.
Yeah, the energy, the ambiance of it. Yeah,
Yeah.
that said, I'm a big proponent of memorizing the jokes. This is how I learn them for myself.
Okay. So, yes, you're a writer. You are writing. You won and you're an award-winning author. You won the title of Eugene's best writer. Is that what it was?
Yes, in 2022. So within recent years, really, it's yeah.
What have you written? What do you write?
So to make a living, I do marketing, I do copywriting, all that. But when it comes to like what I enjoy writing, fiction all day, crime thriller, contemporary romance, horror, really whatever the story goes.
So do you have like a writing schedule? Do you have something that you do regularly? Do you have a practice of sorts that you do use to get into the writing zone?
Uh, Not too much. You have to read a lot, obviously. So I make more time to read than I do to write because you can read and not write, but you can't write and not read. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Kind of refilling the well. I mostly write at night.
Yeah.
I'll say that. Yeah. But outside of that, not too much of a habit. I used to make the mistake of thinking I wrote better while drinking, which is just patently false. So
Right. We're not all Hemingway.
we're not all Hemingway.
Yeah. You don't want to be Hemingway anyways. Uh, it's one of those things. It's the same with comedy for me. I used to think that it was so much better to like have some drinks and do some comedy and that kind of stuff. Have you found a similar thing with comedy? Did you ever have that same kind of like, I'm on stage, I'm just gonna drink and then do whatever?
No, if anything, I had the reverse. I'd seen people go up drunk and do like horrible, right?
Huh.
And they didn't even realize they were doing horrible because they were so drunk.
Oh
So
yeah.
for a long time, I just wouldn't drink at all before I went up. But then I'd get up there and there'd be certain, like if I'm talking about a dirty joke or something like that, that just goes better if you have a little bit of beer in you, right? I might hesitate at a point, something like that.
Yeah.
So eventually I got it down to where I just have one drink before a show. Like if I'm on a show, I have one drink before I go up.
Yeah.
Boneyard, and that's it.
Boneyard, that's your drink, that's your go-to.
That's my go-to.
Chad and his Boneyard.
What can I say?
I think the one drink is a nice place to be typically. Like
Yeah,
having one
yeah.
drink just kind of starts the night. That being said, I've barely been drinking at all this year. Do you ever experiment with not drinking times for extended periods of time?
You said you haven't been drinking at all this year.
Yeah, I haven't. So I was just asking you if you ever like take a step back or you're like, oh geez, I need to adjust.
Yeah, for sure. I always take a dry November. If I drink too many days in a row, I make sure to take a few days off, something like that. Even if it's not, I might have one beer that night or a glass of wine the next night. But you get 4 or 5 days in, and I'm like, all right, I'll take tonight off or something like that.
Yeah, it just feels so nice not having the mindset of, oh, I have to drink in order to do this thing that I love. Like, that's kind of weird if you think about it. Like, I need to be inebriated to do the thing that I love.
Yeah, yeah, it's an oxymoron of a concept for sure. Plus, it just takes out so. Like I work out at night too, not night, but let's say like I might work out at 9:30. Typically, if I'm gonna have a beer, I'll have it at like 8:30, 9 o'clock. So once I have that beer, boom, I'm not gonna work out now. I'm not gonna. There's all these other things I'm not gonna do now. So yeah.
So you're working out at 9:30?
I'm a night owl. I get this boost of energy, Rudy, at like 9 o'clock at night. I always have, and then I'm just up all night.
That's why so what are you doing at 9:30? Are you at the gym? Are you at home? What's your workout looking
I'm definitely a home guy. I want as few barriers between me and actually doing the thing. Because if I have to think, oh, I got to drive 20 minutes, it's that much easier for me to say I'm not doing it today.
Totally. So what's your I would like when I have to work and I want to work out, I'll wear my workout clothes under my work clothes sometimes. So I just rip my clothes off like Clark
You have
Kent.
no excuse now to
Yeah.
yeah.
So you're working out at home at 9:30. What's your workout look like these days?
It's just basic stuff. I'll do push-ups, crunches, planks, free weight press, rows, just usual, just free weights, and
Yeah.
that's classics
Yeah.
over and over.
Basic compound movements, working the core muscles, core movements, that kind of stuff.
Exactly, yeah. I do need to stretch more, though. I will be honest. My muscles are tight. They're always tight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. My life changed in the last year because I added a new mobility component to my workouts. And I would say if there's one thing you can like think about each day, do something for your hips, shoulders, and spine. Hips, shoulders, and spine. That's what I try to tell myself. If you can work on some kind of mobility, just one little thing, even if it's just at your chair, hips, shoulders, and spine. Do that once a day. You'll be thankful.
Shoulders. It has a ring to it. Hip, shoulders, and spine.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just like that. It's that part of your body that's always moving around. It's always like
True.
wiggling and jiggling. There's so many things in there, and we don't even think about them. Like we're just sitting on them all day, and we don't do shit for them.
Fair.
No wonder they're yelling at us. So, do you what's your split look like? Because I'm a huge lifter. I haven't talked with anybody about. I don't know if I've talked with anybody who's really lifted weights so far on the show too much. What do you have a split, or do you do the same thing every day? What's it kind of look like?
I don't necessarily do. I mean, I always do push-ups. I always do planks. And I try to always do curls because my arms just don't get very. I mean, I'm not lifting 100 pounders or 100 pound, free weights or anything like that. But I guess the only time I vary it is when I have to work out my legs because my knees will start hurting or something like that. So I'm at the desk all day writing or something like that. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And again, making sure I stretch more. So I'm trying to build in where I just 30 minutes just stretching, just one day a week, just 30 minutes at least.
Yeah. An active rest day. I've incorporated active rest days into my training, and I love them. It's like the days where I don't lift, where I'm just like wiggling around and like.
But you're moving.
Yeah, exactly. And
jump rope.
Jump rope is awesome. We need a jump. Do you jump rope?
Yeah, I jump rope. Yeah, which I'm a smoker, so I always have to. My cardio is, I gotta make sure I put work in on it.
Yeah, it makes everything harder to smoke.
Yeah. And that's why I smoke. I want the hardest possible life. All right.
Yeah, you can't have anything easy. That's not true. It's not true. What's your smoking been like over the years? Have you been on again, off again? Has it been like steady for 10 years? Or are you like, I'm a chimney for life?
No, I'm definitely going to quit. My plan was and still is to quit when I'm 35, right? Uh-huh. With that in mind, to make sure I could still quit when I wanted to, last year I quit cold turkey. I made it about 3 days before I was like, if I don't have a cigarette right now, I'll die.
Cigarettes saved your life.
Cigarettes saved my life. Yeah. But it's cut back over the years for sure. I was at my peak probably at like 24, 25. I lived about an hour away from where I worked. I'm driving, blah, blah, blah. So I was going through a pack and a half a day of Camel Crushes, right?
Oh, the Crush.
The Crush. And I was like, I'll switch to American Spirits because these are horrible and I hate them. And that was about 4 or 5 years ago now. So it didn't work.
And now you have 20 minutes for every cigarette.
Exactly. It's a lot of time to think. Yeah.
Why do they take so long, those American Spirits?
There's something about the natural recipe they use. To be like, if I'm at home, to be honest with you, and I have a full one, I'll smoke half and then save the other half for later.
Oh yeah. I used to smoke plenty, and it's like American Spirits were like, oh, I have a vacation now. That's what I get to do.
This is what I do. Take a full smoke break. Deal.
Yeah, smoke breaks are great because that's where all the cool kids are. Everybody's smoking. Yeah. Like that's fun. That's cool. When have you ever met someone not cool smoking? You know what I mean?
I mean, right? That's why vaping didn't stick with me. I was like, this isn't cool enough. I need fire. I need
Yeah, it's like sucking a USB stick, right? It's
yeah.
like I don't need a thumb drive here. I, um, that being said, I knew I would smoke for some point in my life because before I ever picked up a cigarette, I would like kind of enjoy secondhand smoke.
Mhm.
I would walk behind a smoker every now and again and be like, smells like death. And it would just brighten my day. So when I moved to Korea, cigarettes were $2.50 a pack. And it was like, oh, you have to smoke. You could smoke indoors, in bars, everywhere. Bars never closed. So just me and my degenerate friends were smoking cigarettes until 4 a.m. on a Wednesday night. And it was great.
Yeah, you're living the life. You're living the life doing that, man. I get it.
Mm-hmm. There's something very rewarding about smoking a cigarette. I don't know what it is, and I know this is a health-based journey we're on together right
Yeah.
now. But, we
I
went to
mean,
cigarettes.
I fully accept that when the day comes that I do quit, sometime, in my 35th year, that
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna relapse. I'm gonna have to go through this. And once I finally get it down, 15 years will pass, and maybe I'll still take a drag every now and then. But that's better to me than just continuously smoking unregulated, if you will.
Absolutely. I mean, the idea that you want to make a change, that's always nice. Even just the idea, hey, I'm going to change someday.
Yeah, it's a start. All right, it's
These are steps. These are things that I'm doing that are good for my life. Um I know like having a smoke or a drink before a set would often calm me down, but now I mean, you'll see me stretching, you'll see me doing weird stuff like that before my sets and that kind of stuff because it's like I want loose hips when
yeah.
I'm on stage. That's way more important than anything is my hips. I need my hips to be loose. How, if at all, does your physical and your like mental interact on stage? Like how does your well-being, body, mind, and soul interact with your stage presence, your stage persona, your desire to do comedy, if at all?
I don't know. It'd have to be very subtle things, but all right. So, for example, if I know I have a show that night, I'm
Yeah.
gonna make sure I do just a quick pump, just like a set of 20 push-ups or so before I
Mm-hmm.
even start recording or going over my set or something like that, because it makes
Mm-hmm.
you feel good about yourself. You look a little bit better. You can think, I already accomplished something today. This is something else to accomplish. So that's definitely part of my little pre-show ritual.
Like before
Uh,
you get out the door, you'll like do something and just get the
yeah,
blood flowing, get the
get the
juices
blood
going.
flowing for sure, for sure. Uh, Definitely helps with breath control and cardio. I mean, being able to if you're messing with your inflections, you're doing your peaks and valleys, or you're doing a run-on sentence for humor, just being able to keep that going without in the middle, just breathing off rhythm, and you know what I mean. So
Absolutely. You mentioned a few things there. Are you someone who on stage who likes to incorporate physicality? Is that something you consider or you like to do on stage?
I'd say I'm doing more of it now, but even so, there's been an increase over the years, but still, I wouldn't consider myself a physical a comedian at all.
Yeah. When when do you feel most most comfortable in your own skin? Is it when you're on stage? Is it when you're writing? Is it when you're working out? Is it when what are you doing when you feel like Chad?
Honestly, it feels. I probably, if I had to choose one, writing for sure is my truest version of me. But they all scratch a different itch, When I'm working out, the competitor in me can come to life. The When I'm on stage, the social butterfly in me gets to come to life. Things like that. And they all kind of converge in writing. You know what I mean? Because you
Mm,
might write a comic, you might write a fitness guy, and you gotta be able to do those things. But I'd say the best fitness high I ever have is running. I used to run all the time, Rudy, all the
oh.
time, miles upon miles upon miles. The loneliness of a long distance runner is like music to my ears,
Oh yeah. That's beautiful. Do you run these days?
Not as much as I used to, man. I used to run like 3 miles a night. Now, I'll go through phases. I'll run for a month or a month and a half and then nothing for 6 months. And then I'll kick in again.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
I've always loved running in the rain. I'm like,
Oh, it's
so that's why you moved here.
the rain played a factor. A brooding writer in the rain? Come on.
Perfect. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
It's basically Ken Kesey and then you now. I think that's how it goes, right?
One after another.
Yeah. Yeah, no, okay. So moving forward, what are you looking to accomplish? Do you have any goals right now in comedy or in fitness or in writing or in other areas of life? What are you aiming for?
Man, it sounds, I chase this abstract concept called success, right? And
Uh-huh.
for comedy, I've never really figured out what that looked like. I know I'm not going to move to LA, I'm not going to do, unless somehow someone goes, you want to put you in a show right now? Yeah, I'll go for that. But,
Sure, why not?
so I'm not really sure with comedy. I started posting clips recently, and I've had them for years, but I just never posted them. So I started doing that. Yeah, but comedy, I guess, is just to keep doing it for now.
That's like my favorite comedy goal, actually. My number one comedy goal is don't quit. That's the main thing I just want to do in comedy is not ever quit, because if I quit, then nothing will happen.
That's a fair point.
If I don't quit, something might happen.
Yeah.
Is kind of how I look at it. And I love this idea of success, and that we can get into success. Like, it means different things for different people.
Yeah.
Right. Success for some, I think it's hard to define, or it's been hard for me to define success, because coming out of the pandemic, and I think when you get so kind of mixed up in all your intake, everything that's coming in, it's hard for me to like disentangle all the voices in my head sometimes. So it's like, okay, I don't know if that is my goal or if this is my goal or what I want to accomplish, but I have a clear goal right now about comedy, what I want to do than I've had before. When you think of success, what comes to mind? Like, oh, this is a successful person, or this would be a successful act. Like, this would make me successful. Does anything like come to mind?
Well, I mean, I've always wanted the respect of my peers, right? Whether within comedy or within writing, for an author I respect or a comedian I respect.
Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a big factor. I'd be remiss not to mention financial freedom to some degree,
Yeah.
I don't need $100 million. Maybe just 800 grand in a savings account. I'd be cool with that,
That sounds nice.
That sounds so nice. Yeah.
I could get by with 800 grand.
Right?
You see these people with these insane amounts of money, and I'm like, how is that even a thing? How does that exist?
Oh my gosh. This is actually positive. It was you have to look this up. Who's ever listening has to look this up. But a couple days ago, this woman became a billionaire because her husband passed and left her like 1.6 in Berkshire Hathaway stock. And then she just donated it to a local college in a poor neighborhood. And it's $1 billion. So currently, every student that's accepted gets in for free indefinitely.
Wow.
So she donated the entire $1 billion.
To this college.
To this college. So to your point, when you have $100 billion somewhere, what are you doing?
Oh my God. If you're not paying for every kid you've ever seen to go to college, you're losing.
You're losing. Come on.
Jeez. Oh my gosh. I would love. Yeah. I mean, you think about all these billionaires, and I'm like, how is there anything bad left in the world when it could be easily just paid for?
Just paid for.
Just
without them, they'd still be billionaires at the end.
You'd be fine, Jeff. Come on.
Come on, dude.
Jeez Louise. Yeah, and I think for me, I think success looks something like balance. That's what I'm like trying for. That's what I'm trying for. I'm enjoying the ride, every part of the ride, and right now it's kind of like waiting to figure out some money stuff and some job stuff and all of that, and I'm feeling better about all of it because I'm taking steps. Like in comedy I'm taking steps, and jobs I'm taking steps, and the health and fitness I'm taking steps. I got a bunch of different stuff. And it's like, okay, I have a bunch of things that are on my plate. And it's like, when it comes down to it, when I'm living my life, is there balance? Am I able to handle it all, in a way that like leaves something in the tank? I've always been a person like at the gym, my thing right now, it's hard to figure out how to like put the brakes on. It's hard. Like I have to remind myself like not to work out very hard on a show day, because I will just leave no blood for my brain at the end of the workout. I'm like, okay, just calm down, relax, chill out. Are you a guy who has to work on the gas more or work on the brakes more?
When it comes to working out, I have to work on the gas to get in it and then have to work on the brakes to get out of it, for sure.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's like the more you work out, or the longer a workout goes, the more you want to work out. And then you get to a point where you've done like way too many sets on the same muscle. Well, it's kind of like what you're saying. It's like, I'm hurting myself at this point.
Yeah. Like, this is dumb, Rudy. Why are you even doing? There is a point of diminishing returns, but I've always said that a bad workout's better than no workout. And
True.
I think, it's like, okay, just get yourself there. That's step one. Just get yourself there. Sometimes it's not even about working out. Sometimes it's just about getting yourself to the place where you work out. Maybe you put your shorts on and then you took a nap on a dumbbell for 20 minutes. Like, that's better than nothing.
I hear what you're saying. I mean, heck, that's why mine's is in the living room.
Yeah, it's over there.
Yeah.
I love that. How long does a workout take for you usually?
45 to an hour, but that's only because I've been including stretching, which again, got to build the habit. But yeah,
look up 90-90 switches, man. They'll do wonders for your hips. 90-90 switches. That's one of my favorite. Yeah, those are like a big thing that's opened up so much space for me, and it just like is what you can do a ton of stuff. I like how you looked very much like Kat on a keyboard right there, like tap 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 tap. Yep, internet. I just interneted successfully. Did you work out when you were a kid? Did you have any like? What did you do when you were younger?
I just did push-ups and just like sit-ups while watching movies and TV shows, and then I ran a lot as well. I was on track for a little bit. We played a lot of soccer where I was from. Soccer and basketball, but I'm not very good at basketball, so I kind of did soccer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's fun. Yeah, it's like I think that like working out as a kid was like so much fun, and people don't. Are kids working out? Are kids still like doing that kind of stuff, or are they all on TikTok all day?
They're all ripped on TikTok though. They're like, here's how you get this muscle big in the gym, and it's like, wow, you guys are doing it. You're killing it.
I saw some kid at the gym today. He was doing an exercise I kind of recognized, like a variation of a goblet squat. And I asked him if he followed somebody, because I recognized that they had done that. Marcus Philly, a guy named Marcus Philly. I like him all right. But then he's like, no, I saw this on TikTok and I just need something to work to finish strong. And I'm like, that's kind of crazy to me that people are like getting their workouts straight up from TikTok now.
Yeah.
I should talk because I'm watching people on Instagram all the time, and I'm like, I get excited when I see people like post workouts I like and stuff. I'm just nerding out. I'm like, when I see a guy do like a cool tricep extension, maybe that's like a car head who like sees a really neat muffler or whatever.
Yeah. You're giving them whole lives.
Yeah. I just get pumped. What is your thing that you're super into online? Like when you're scrolling, when you're just killing time, when you got nothing, what's your go-to?
A lot of abstract humor, for sure.
I thought you were just going to say abs. A lot of abs.
Just abs. Just early 2000s Axe body commercials. Those are my...
Marky Mark video. He doesn't like that. That's like that's a bad way to refer to Senior Wahlberg.
You think he's going to hear this and like send you a cease and desist?
He's like, you called me Marky Mark. I'm one of your 4 listeners and you betrayed me.
I own your house now.
I bet Mark Wahlberg could annihilate any Gen Pop human in a matter of minutes. You know what? He could destroy our lives somehow. I don't
Right
know.
now.
Please, Lord Wahlberg, do not destroy mine or Chad's life. But I don't doubt that he could. Like, he could snap a finger and just our house would be engulfed in hamburgers or something.
I mean, at the very least, he has enough money to pay anyone to do it. So
He could do whatever he wants. Now, I find it in any way I can. I try to find a way to complain about Bradley Cooper every week.
Yeah.
Who is the person, or what is the thing that you love to complain about more than anything else? Don't say Sex in the City, Chad. I know you're gonna say I'm a Carrie.
You're definitely a Miranda, first of all.
Am I Miranda? Which one's Miranda?
See. I'll tell you about something I complain about every day. Plot holes in movies and TV shows. The second I'm watching one, it's my go-to complaint. I'm like, hey, this doesn't make any sense. Hey, basically, I'm super fun to watch these things with.
Are you watching it? Are you complaining in the midst of it?
In the midst, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't do it in a movie theater, but unfortunately, my partner is next to me on the couch, and it's not great.
They're gonna hear it. What was the worst one? Can you think of any that popped up recently where you're like, bullshit? I call bullshit.
Okay, all right. Here's one. I've been watching Batman Beyond. Do you remember that show from like when we were kids?
Oh, was it the animated series?
Yeah, the animated one. It's like a Batman protege. Bruce Wayne's old, all that.
Okay.
And I've just had it on as a background show this last week, and it blows my mind that an episode starts and someone gets fired. Like the janitor at the school gets fired. And somehow 10 minutes later, they're a supervillain fighting Batman on a train with this ridiculously themed, they're like, I'm garbage man now because the whole world's trash. And I'm like, what the fuck?
I wanted Garbage Man's story. I wanted to know how he got there.
Yeah. It just blows my mind. I mean, it's a kid's show, don't get me wrong, but I can't turn it off. It just stays on.
This is bull. You're like, they already did that in Darkwing Duck. Thank you very much.
Try harder.
Who ripped who off? Darkwing Duck ripped out Bruce Wayne, or Bruce Wayne ripped off the Duck?
I mean, you got to say the Duck ripped off the Wayne, right? He's much younger.
Oh, lame. Oh, whatever. I was hoping. Yeah. I'm just a duck guy. I'm an Oregon Duck through and through.
There you go.
Did you end up going to college?
I went a couple times because I had the GI Bill, and I dropped out both times. So
that's fair.
Yeah.
I mean, like you said, I was an academic advisor for years, and I think education is cool and all, and I liked school, but it's not for everybody.
No, definitely wasn't for me.
Yeah, no, that's fair. You're just like, I got Batman Beyond. I'm cool. I got these skills as a writer. I got to get to tapping.
Yeah, there you go. It worked out for me, I'll tell you that.
When did you start writing? Like as a hobby or whatever?
I've been writing since I was a kid. Like one of my earliest memories is I'm still so young that my mom's in the bath with me or in the bathroom with me while I'm taking a bath. Like that's how small I am. And I'm like, Mom, I'm going to be a writer when I get older. And I just never lost that ever.
I love that. That's so cool. You just started writing as a kid. Do you have any of these like books or pages from childhood around? I do. I have so I still remember the first book I ever tried to write. I was 9 years old. It was a self-help novel, Rudy. Yes!
And I still remember the first line. It was like, I'll tell you how old I am at the end of this, but we're to be happy. You were like the last Airbender as a 9-year-old. You're like speaking in riddles. So what was the point of the book? How do you be happy as a 9-year-old? What was 9-year-old Chad preaching? I have no clue. I cannot remember. But the first like full length one I finally wrote, I started that when I was in middle school. It's never been published. Like I'll never publish it because it's 500 pages of really bad writing with like cool lines here and then a good scene there and then a good idea here. You know what I mean? Absolutely. Yeah. Well, then you got to mine that stuff. You got to just take that good stuff and put it into an actual thing. That's what I hope to do. I still have a couple copies of it in my drawer over there. I'm hoping when I'm like 40 and out of story ideas, I'll just read through it and be re-inspired or something. I love it. Well, one of the things Taika Waititi has said about writing
scripts is like, he's like, write a script, just do anything you can to write it, get it out, and then put it in a drawer and don't look at it for 10 years. Reread it, burn it, and write it again. And it's like, I think that's such good advice in general, for any kind of writing. That's kind of also good for comedians, because the things we want to handle as young comedians are often so far above our head, so far above our skill level, that like, why would a first-year comedian like have any good material on anything, really? Like, you're like, oh, I want to be edgy, I want to talk about all this stuff, and then you get on stage and you're like, oh, nobody wants to hear this.
I haven't learned how to structure something.
Yeah. So, if somebody wanted to read a Chadhurst Sharpe novel or piece or work, what could they do? How could they do that?
You can find me on Amazon for the most part. Chadhurst Sharpe. I've got 7 things out.
7 things out? That's so cool.
Yeah.
What should I start with? If you're going to recommend something to me or a general friend.
Well, what's your favorite genre, Rudy?
Well, authors I like are, I like Steinbeck and I like Tom Robbins. So like, those are 2 of my guys. So it's, I just like stories. But I'm also a sci-fi guy. I love sci-fi and fantasy as well. Do you genre jump?
Yeah, for sure. I would say check out Dr. Corrigan. I've written 2 in that series. They're anthologies, or not anthologies, but they're disconnected with some mentions to the previous story.
Okay.
Kind of a serial with an S. And then
with not a C.
Not the C, yeah. I'm rewriting my first novel right now, Autumn Heights, which I think you'd like that too, because that's more of a grounded crime thriller. But yeah, I'd say Dr. Corrigan.
Okay, I'll give it a peek, and I'll try to I'll start it before this drops, so I'll at least have something to say about it.
Nice.
It'll come out in a couple weeks. Have you seen American Fiction?
No, it's on my list. My partner wants to watch it too, so we gotta correspond.
It's such a good movie, and I think as a black writer, like, that's who it's about. And it's like so good. Like, it's just a good movie. It's so interesting, and the whole cast is phenomenal. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, they have Maxine from Living Single. I can't wait.
Yeah, you're like, this is for me.
This is.
Maxine's back,
right? I wrote the studio and I was like, I personally will boycott this film if you don't
bring Maxine in at some point. We're getting like, when it gets to nighttime, are you like a werewolf? Is that what's happening? Are you like slowly unfurling yourself? Is this what's happening at night? You're like, ooh, once 9 o'clock hits, I'm just gonna like piss on everything, or how does it work for you?
Well, yes. Okay. So you know how, like, let's say for some reason you haven't eaten that day, and that first meal you have, you feel your brain turn on. It's that. Not that intense, but it's that at about 9 to 9:30.
And so when do you sleep?
I have to make myself go to sleep, so I have a self-imposed bedtime of 2 o'clock.
Yeah. Okay. I love these self-imposed bedtime. It's like you're your own parent.
I know. Otherwise I'll be up till 4 o'clock, and I got work at 8. It just doesn't,
Can you get by on like minimal sleep? Has that been an issue for you?
No, I can totally do that. The problem is waking up to begin with, So like, if I stay up all night, I can set 12 alarms to wake me up in 4 hours, and they won't wake me up. You know what I mean? So.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I have to like play tricks. I have to like sleep on the couch and drink a bunch of water, so I wake up to go to the bathroom. Then I'm like, oh yeah, I should stay up.
Your bladder is your alarm clock.
Exactly, yeah.
So, how's your nutrition? How about eating? Do you have like to remind yourself to eat, or are you a good eater? Or what's that like for you?
I'm definitely a good eater. I don't eat breakfast, but then I eat for the rest of the day, and I'm eating until like 12 o'clock at night.
Yeah, you just got a pretty decent metabolism.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you have goals physically? Is there anything that you want? Do you want to like make gains? Are you trying to like get stronger? Or are you trying? I guess flexibility is what you mentioned earlier, huh?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely my goal for other reasons, mainly because of how inflexible I am. But well, the Eugene Marathon's in April, and I think it'd be pretty cool if I could run the half. So we'll see.
Okay.
We'll
Have
see.
you ever run one?
I've run that far, yeah, but a marathon event, no.
No. Why do people like running, Chad?
I mean, my body's just built for it, man. I get that euphoria, and that's a wrap.
Yeah, and you're just good to go for however long.
Yeah, it's like that first half mile. I couldn't just run the marathon right now today. I haven't put in the training for it, but it's like that first half mile. My muscles are tight. I'm like, oh man, this sucks. And then after that, I'm just like, this is heaven. I know why I do this.
Yeah, I've gotten there. I just get there at the gym now. I'd rather do it muscularly. Like
Yeah,
I'm
fair
like
enough.
I go psycho at the gym. I don't know. I want to be a trainer, and I am a trainer. I had an
You
interview
got the
for
certificate.
I got the certificate. I'm a certified personal trainer, and
Cool.
I do support some people personally, trainingly. And I had an interview for a job this week. Uh,
Congrats.
but like thank you. My own training style is not how I would like train someone else to train necessarily. I don't know why. I think it's just like I I'm in the zone when I'm there, and that's kind of just how it is. Have
Hmm.
you ever had a workout partner, a training partner?
No, not really. I mean, I've done like team events. I got trained Muay Thai for a bit and stuff like that. So, you're sparring with people, but I don't have anyone I'd go, let's go to the gym right now or anything like that.
Yeah. You mentioned Muay Thai. Have you gotten into like MMA or anything like that? You've done those kind of like martial arts?
Yeah, for months at a time, so I'll go through phases, right? So I'll join the gym and I'll go for 3 months or 4 months, then won't go for 3 months or 4 months and cycle on and off. But it's been consistently that over the years. You know what I mean? So, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I've never done any of that. I'm afraid that I would just like cry and punch someone. And I'm like, I don't want to do that.
I mean, it's a humbling thing, right? You get there and you're like, you're already a grown man. They're like, spar with this 12-year-old. And the 12-year-old basically kicks your ass. Like, if they were a little bit stronger, you would have died.
Yeah, you're like, this is a Kenny Powers sketch at this
Yeah.
point. I feel like this shouldn't be so emasculating. But whatever. Do you have any shows coming up? Any big things coming up that you're excited about?
Yeah, yeah. Let's see. April 3rd, I have a show at, man, this is my problem. I say yes to shows and I wait until a group chat appears and then I'm like, oh yeah, I am on that show. Oh, okay, I'll be at
Yeah.
Olson Run the weekend of the 8th and 9th of
Oh,
March.
nice.
Yeah,
Who's the
yeah.
headliner that weekend?
A very funny comedian. In
Okay.
the audience, I have to buy tickets to find out.
March 8th to the 9th. You'll be there with them.
I'll be there with them.
Nice.
Yeah.
Fun. Okay. Well, are you working on any books right now? Are you deep in the midst of something? Are you
Yes,
making
yes,
twists
I
and
am.
turns?
Yeah, my first novel that I published, I did back in 2016, right? And I started writing in like 2014, 2013. The point being that I'm such a better writer now than I was almost, 10 years ago, if not 10 years ago. And I've
Hmm.
learned just more about the publishing process, things I didn't know at the time. So I'm going back.
For
I'm going
sure.
to completely delete that one off and I'm just rewriting it. It started off, I've been doing it for like a year and a half now. It started off me just changing the tense. And then I would
Uh-huh.
get to a section and go, oh, I can rewrite this. I'm so much better now. Or I can expand this, or this should be shortened. And it's basically a whole new creature now.
It
So I'm very excited.
it's not the one that starts with "When I finish this, I'll tell you how old I am."
No, that's my second one. That's in the back burner.
I do want to read your self-help book, whether it's written at age 9 or age
Uh,
now.
yeah. I appreciate that, Rudy.
Yeah, Chadhurst's tenets of life.
There you go. The cover will be you shirtless, and the caption will be "I gave him this body," and people will respect me. People will respect me then.
That I need a before and after first of somehow,
Yeah.
like I will be your before and after. I don't care what the context is. I don't care what you put above, under, below, or inside it.
Yeah. Before I started working out, I turned into a 6 foot tall white guy.
Yeah. that was me.
Yeah.
You like that's how good working out is. You turn into a cool ass black dude.
Yeah, there it is. These are the health benefits we need to tell people about.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad I could help you on your journey, Chad.
Same.
I'm glad I could walk alongside you. And when there was only one set of footprints, it was Chad's.
Oh, I'm on the Jesus show too. Easter weekend. There we go.
There's a Jesus. You're on the Jesus show.
I'm on the Jesus show this year.
We added Jesus of color.
I'm Book of Clarence Jesus.
Oh, did you watch Book of Clarence?
Of course I watched Book of Clarence.
My dad wanted to see it. I didn't, and we didn't end up seeing it. How was it?
It was pretty good. I mean, it's got abstract elements and all that, but overall it's funny and a unique take.
Yeah, what's your one sentence synopsis?
One sentence synopsis, that's good. A con artist and non-believer meets the real Jesus.
Ooh, yeah. I'm ready. Yeah, it is a true skill to be able to say I don't know. I'm so dumb that I can't even say this thing that I heard. It's a skill to be able to take a complex idea and boil it down to few words, and that was done beautifully. There was no fat on that sentence at all.
Thank you.
Okay, so you started comedy. About how long have you been doing comedy approximately? What's that like for you?
About 5 years, including that COVID gap year.
Including the gap year, yes. So we all took about a year off in there. You're deep. You're 5 years in the game. Mm-hmm. You're moving along. You're feeling good in comedy, or are you? Are you feeling good?
I am feeling good. Yeah.
Nice. If you could give yourself, the person who started comedy those 5 years ago, any kind of advice, or if there was something you wish you knew or could keep in mind back then, what would it be?
Don't be afraid of silence. Yeah. I mean, if you tell a punchline, you're big joke and it's silent, okay, yeah. But when you're just setting up a joke, when you're just riffing real quick, or when you're trying something new, don't be afraid to let it fail. And then, I put weight, because like I said, I had my first set came out really good. So I held everything to that standard, not realizing how lucky I'd gotten that my first set came out really good. You know what I mean?
For sure, yeah. No, I mean, I think so often we hit on that beginner's luck kind of a thing. It's like, oh, I was just like excited to do this thing, and then it showed. And I think that's what the big pops on your first time. It's like you were excited. You actually were excited to do it. So don't be afraid of silence. Is that something that you utilize in your comedy now? Do you try to add dramatic pauses or intentional silence?
I try to add dramatic pauses. If I'm on stage and my mouth gets really dry in the middle of a sentence and you do that kind of like stutter, they used to like throw me off my game so much. I'd be like, oh no, I mispronounced this word. Now it's just, stop, take a drink of water, let the room breathe, go back into it, you know?
Yeah, exactly. I think we're in a rush, and sometimes it's easy to just forget that we don't always have to rush.
Yeah.
I like to take a 10-minute energy into a 5-minute set sometimes.
I like that phrasing.
And then you can just like kind of chill up there. You're like, okay, we don't have to worry. Because ultimately the audience wants someone who's comfortable more than someone who's just like there to recite jokes.
Yeah.
You know, did you go to Lucky's this week?
Yeah, I was there. Yeah, yesterday.
Yeah, Lucky's was fun. And Lucky's is perfect for that. It's like, okay, it's Lucky's. Let's just go to have fun. Like there's nobody there that's like, oftentimes they're not there to listen to comedy. So it's like, just go up there, be yourself, have fun, take a minute, and don't take it too hard if you don't smash, you know?
Yeah, I don't I think there's just misconception among most comedians that it's bombing when there's no one there to laugh. That's not bombing. There's no one there to laugh. And you're trying new stuff or whatever, you know?
Yeah, yeah. It's sometimes eats at me. I even having done it for a little while, it just happens. You can't help but feel shitty sometimes, and you just have to remind yourself it's like, oh no, yeah, this is no big deal. This is all right. It happens to everybody.
It's part of the. Sometimes on like those really, really rough nights where everyone's doing bad, and I'm like the last person on the list. I can't wait to get up there because I'm like, we're all gonna eat shit together. That's what you know what I mean? Like,
yes, absolutely. That's what built. That's the bond of comedy. Is like we love it and it's awesome, but also we know how much it sucks.
yeah.
and that's a beautiful thing. So I think that that's a good idea to kind of wrap up with. Is there anything that you want to say? Any parting words? Anything that you want to remind people of before you say goodbye?
Just again, please check out my literary works. You can find me at chadhurstsharpe.com or Google the same name, and I'll pop up on Amazon. And I have one question for you, Rudy.
Oh, I love this. Yeah, what's up?
What's the same question you asked me? What's something you would tell your younger self in comedy? Your young comic Rudy.
What would I tell myself? I would say focus on the fun. I would say focus on the fun of comedy because I feel like I'm at my best when I'm having fun, when I'm just in the idea of like, how can I make this show fun for me, fun for the people there, fun for my friends, but also in a way that like takes it seriously in the sense that I value people's time. So I think the main thing I would try to make sure to hammer home is focus on fun. And I wouldn't say that I've done bad at that necessarily. It's not necessarily something I haven't paid attention to, but if I could encourage myself to do anything, it would just be like have fun and enjoy all the steps, whatever they are.
Yeah, I get that. Yeah.
We get so caught up. I love goals. I love setting goals. I love trying to do stuff, and I'm in the middle of a dozen projects right now. But if I'm not enjoying them, if I'm not having fun doing them, then I want to know how I can reprioritize to make sure that is still a part of it. And it's like, once you get to the spot of like, how can I make this joyful for myself? Then I think the joy will have no choice but to ooze into others.
It's happiness.
Yeah, I want my joy to be oozy.
Never say that again.
All right, not in front of you. I won't say that. Well, I love that. This has been so great. It's been so nice to chat and get to know you a little more because we just hang out at Mike's so much.
We do, yeah.
And so it's really great. That's one of the things I love about the podcast medium, and I'm glad you took some time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Chadhurst Sharpe. That's Sharpe with an E on the end.
Indeed.
And I'll put that on the show notes and stuff like that. So thanks again, Chad. Any final words?
No.
Fair enough. Final words from Chad and me. No. Have a good one.
Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Not jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. Jokes in the gym. With Rudy Tyburczy.
Yeah, it's basically Ken Kesey and then you now. I think that's how it goes, right?
One after another.